I'm Dee Quaranta, President and CEO of Northeast Florida Women Veterans here in Jacksonville. We help women veterans, women who have served in the military, whether they've served active, um, reserve, or guard. We help those women with basic needs, workshops, professional and personal development. This organization was founded, I founded it myself actually, um, 2012. Around 2012, I was working for the state over at another agency and just saw an increase of women veterans coming in needing some unique help. And so, after calling other organizations to see if they could offer that assistance, at that time I didn't quite understand the nonprofit world, and everything comes with funds or need funds to operate. But at some point in time, I had to make a decision. Since I couldn't find anyone to do it, I had to step out and do it myself. So that's what we've been doing since 2012. In this building, we have workshops, 6-week workshops for professional and personal development. We have a food pantry here that we provide for either homeless or at-risk women. And of course, we provide clothing as well. Um, Case management, so if someone needs help with their rent or uh, mortgage, lights, whatever the case may be, if we have the funding, we go ahead and help them with that. So it's pretty much everything. And of course, we have the shelter. So we can house 6 women and children at the shelter down on Beach Boulevard. So since the beginning of the organization, we've always had a clothing closet for the ladies because we were seeing more homeless women than anything else in the very beginning. So we had to do something to make sure that they at least had clothes, especially in the winter, having coats and things like that. I learned about PSM Jax at one of the stand downs, the homeless veteran stand down. I met the infamous Neil, and he brought in all of these winter clothing, and we were so excited, to see him lay all these things out. And I was like, wow, we could use some of this stuff. So, the partnership with PSM Jax has been phenomenal. Since that day I met Neil, we have stayed connected because we do work with women who are at risk and homeless women. And those that are at risk simply means that they still live under a roof somewhere, but they're really struggling and at risk of being homeless or evicted. So they don't always have the funds to buy many basic things, and having things like coats and sweaters and even dresses, and being able to have a new dress every once in a while really helps to encourage them and make sure they're safe, and for their children. We wouldn't have them. It would not be good. And that's why partnerships are so important, because we're not necessarily a one-stop shop. We try to make sure that we're connected to agencies that can provide specific things for us. And not having those clothes would have been an issue for the women. We wouldn't have been able to provide them. Have been served through those clothes, I'd say a good 75 to 100 women we have been able to bless, as I say, with clothing from PSM Jax. Well, I would send them to to you. I don't have the storage because it's not every day that we utilize the clothes. Especially, we use them during the stand down and some of our other events, the food distributions, things like that. And of course, the women in the shelter, many of them are coming off the street, so they don't have anything, so they're able to go into the closet. So any company that is interested in donating clothing, I would go, you need to go see Neil and Terry, because we can access them from there. And we're very grateful for that. Oh, I remember the first time, the day I met Neil. He had a coat on the table. It was a woman's coat, and there was a lady that came through the line. She didn't have a coat. Um, my sister was there with us that day, and she was helping with the distribution. And my sister walked up and says, "You know, you would look so beautiful in this coat." And she put the coat on the lady, and the lady started crying, in that no one had ever taken the time to tell her just how beautiful she was, and how that coat, and the coat just made her feel so encouraged and so special, that she mattered. And that was powerful. And that's why since then I'm just connected to Neil, because and Terry, of course. But it's you never know what just a garment can do to a person's self-esteem. If somebody cares, and they don't have to walk around in clothes that are too small or dated or tattered. I remember he had some Coach shoes and some jackets, a few garments, and we had them in the back in the closet. And the ladies from the shelter came down, and they went crazy over, over that. Like, these are for me. I can have them. I don't have to pay anything for them. No, they're free. They're for you. And you just see their faces light up, when they see these items, because it's not secondhand. And it's not that people are not grateful for secondhand things, but I have a rule in the shelter that whatever we put in there are things that are coming out of the packet. They're not clothes donated things, comforters and sheets and things. They're new when we put them in there, and I'll hold that as long as I can financially. But we've been blessed to have a lot of donors, especially your organization has made sure that we had comforters for the beds and clothes for our ladies. I say that first, thank you, donor, for making sure that this organization stays afloat. No, there isn't a nonprofit that exists that can survive without financial support and in-kind support a lot of times. And so imagine that service going away because there's no funding. It would be detrimental to the community, because the nonprofits fill in the gap where government cannot do. And so when those gaps are widened again, then we have a problem. So I would say continue to support PSM Jax, because the work that they're doing is very, very important. In our organization, like I said, we have a lot of individual groups who want to donate, and have really supported us. Things like personal hygiene items, and even laundry detergent. We always need that at the shelter. Paper towels and toilet tissue and things like that we use in the shelter, and even for our at-risk women, because believe you can't use food stamps to get paper products, and so those things are important too. Dishwashing liquid, underwear for the children. People don't think about that. We get a lot of socks, but underwear for the children, Pampers, those kinds of things we don't think of. But that's what we can use. And Christmas is coming up now, so right now we're soliciting for toys because we don't have enough toys for the children's Christmas party. And it'll come. It'll come. But those are kind of the recurring things that come up for our shelter and at-risk families. We specifically work with women veterans who have had to experience some really traumatic things in their military career, and even coming out. And especially having to deal with military sexual trauma, domestic violence, and so much in their life, and still having to be mama or the wife, still having to be in those roles and dealing with their trauma. Um, Having access to the clothes and even the linen. I didn't mention the linen, the comforters, knowing that there are families with children sleeping on the floor, and being able to provide those comforters to families of veterans who are not doing well. And when I saw the comforters, I was like, I can't believe this. And they're new, because sometimes people throw things at you, things they don't want, and you got to wash them. You got to do a lot of things. That doesn't happen when I come over to your office to get those things. And so you just don't know how it really affects a person to know that somebody care and recognize that they do matter in life. And we are grateful for the service that they provided to this country. And it's just those little things that we do to let them know that we appreciate it. And I'm also a veteran, so I totally get it. But the service that PSM Jax provides to our community is so important. And you may not see it as an employee or volunteer there, but it does make a big difference in the lives of our veterans and in our community. Some of the things that our ladies have had to endure has been horrific. I'll say that. And through the years, I've had to learn to, when I go home, to let it go. It's very difficult to let it go when you're here all day listening to some of the stories of trauma that they've had to deal with. And you want to do what you can to make their day better. We may not have the resources to get them out of that mental health thing that they're in, but we can affect the day, and put something in their hand and say, hey, this is for you. Why are you giving it to me? Because you matter. And so that's what's important to everything that we do here in the city, in the nonprofit world, because it is there to help those who are less fortunate or just don't have the resources that we have to our fingertips.